Well, we've got some pretty good news on Jalen Hurts' knee, with QB1 finally providing an update, plus Fletcher Cox on the Chiefs and his message to the young guys. And Roby is back, but did defensive coordinator Sean Desai give away too much of the game plan versus Kansas City? Oh yeah, and the Eagles released a former first-round pick. But first, let's run it. Alright, so the Eagles were back at practice putting some final preparations in for Kansas City, and let's just start with the news that the injury report is looking really clean, as opposed to a couple weeks ago when it seemed like every position was down a man. But thankfully, the tight end group got Grant Calcaterra back with Dallas Goedert out. However, the good news is that DG hasn't been placed on the IR, meaning it's very likely we'll see him in for Dallas. In the meantime, though, my guess is we'll see a mixture of Calcaterra and Julio Jones and possibly even Alberto, since head coach Nick Sirianni has mentioned multiple times it'll be a tight end by committee approach. Although tight end Jack Stoll would argue that he should get some looks, saying Thursday, "I feel a lot more comfortable in this offense, being plugged in at different spots. In my eyes, I feel like I've grown as a receiver a lot, to where hopefully they trust me with a couple more targets while Dallas Goedert is out."
I'm not mad, I just want to know who did it so I can punish them.
Okay, sorry Jack, it's nothing personal, but I'd like to see a few other options, yet I don't mind the help in the running game. And more good news on that front, with right guard Cam Jurgens getting his second full practice in, so at this point I'd bet an ungodly amount of money that we see 51 starting Monday night, which I really don't have to say it, but is a very positive sign for the running game. Especially DeAndre Swift, since the giveaway contest in the previous video seemed to suggest most of you, including myself, think Agent Zero's due for a breakout. As we know, the Chiefs defense may be good, but they are susceptible to the ground game, which is even better considering Jalen Hurts revealed he no longer requires the brace or sleeve thing he's been wearing for weeks. As Sal Pal reported, QB1 was moving well, driving the football easily, and the lateral movement was clearly there. No sense of any limping or hitch at all in his knee. And obviously, that's fantastic news, especially given the limp or hitch that we're talking about he'd been dealing with previously. Plus, the hit that he took in the Dallas game made just about all of us hold our breath. Fortunately, the football gods spared us, yet it's been a crazy season to say the least, with the list of significant quarterback injuries continuing to grow after Joe Burrow suffered a torn ligament in his wrist that will keep him out for the remainder of the season. And let me just say, prayers up for all those guys, because we never wish injuries on anyone. But getting back to Jalen, he admitted the bye week did him some good, so it wouldn't surprise me if we saw the offense using a few more RPOs or designed runs, although I'll say I could probably do without the latter. Speaking of doing without, the Eagles released former first-round pick. Okay, sorry, that's not fair to Barnett, despite how much you might have wanted it to be true, or me, but the Birds did release a former first-rounder, after announcing that 1994 first-round pick Bernard Williams, who played offensive tackle, was released yesterday. Yes, you heard me right, 1994. So here's what happened. Williams made the all-rookie team in his first year, but then was suspended 6 games the following season after testing positive for marijuana, and then was suspended again for a second violation later that same year. But since Williams never actually applied for reinstatement to the NFL, he remained on the NFL's suspended list for nearly 3 decades. Until yesterday, the league offices randomly decided to clear out the archives and said, "Oh yeah, hey Philly, we need you to go ahead and take care of this dude and waive him." So now, Williams can be claimed by any team at the ripe age of 51.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch. So he won't be receiving a paycheck anymore, so it'll just work itself out naturally.
I still don't know how something like that happens. You'd think a $150 billion association would have caught it before now. Oh well, moving on. In current news, the Birds are getting nickel corner Roby back, who's also made it a couple full practices, so will start against KC on Monday, and is somewhat thankful for the injury, saying, "I didn't really have time to kind of settle in, but I was able to settle in over the bye and while recovering to really get closer with the team. So I understand the defense more and just being able to get prepared." Alright, well, I'm fine with the whole blessing in disguise approach, although the good news really is just getting him back, because the more DBs, the better.
Definitely. Just in the film, on the practice field and walkthroughs and everything, I've seen it get better. So it's just progress.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and I know this is pessimistic, but I'll believe it when I see it. But the guys do need to be in better spots, because like I talked about in the last episode, we don't want any more linebackers on wide receivers. And Desai agreed in his presser as well, saying those types of mismatches can't happen, while also most likely starting to play dime, which yeah, not really earth-shattering there, I mean we all know that, but the question is, what's Desai actually gonna do versus KC? Maybe nothing, at least if you're Elliott Shore-Parks, who says if Sean Desai has a game plan he thinks would stop Mahomes, he should save it for the Super Bowl and not show it on Monday night.
Surely you can't be serious.
Bro, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I guess to steal a quote from Herm Edwards.
Hello?
You play to win the game.
Look, if ESP was trying to get a reaction like he usually does, well, then I fell for it. However, Desai did let out a little information that the defense has spent extra time practicing their coverages against bunch formations, especially given their struggles there and how often the Chiefs use those types of looks. Of course, that insider info led to one observer quipping, "That's good to let the Chiefs know what we're working on," before the DC went on to share the extra benefit Kevin Byard brings to the table against Travis Kelce.
I think he has a good mindset. I think he understands some of Travis's route stems, and at least off the tape, as I'm talking about, and then, he challenges him. And then they had some different looks, too, from a schematic standpoint that Tennessee had done that helped him win in those situations.
But all right, is that really a lot of extra special secrets? I don't know, probably not. Yet I will say, and I think we all know this, I wouldn't give Andy Reid any piece of info he can use, and Jordan Mailata is not a fan of any of it.
Hell no, I'm not sharing anything with y'all. Y'all the biggest snitches we got. I don't know why people do that, but, I'm not telling you. I tell you guys this every day. I'm not telling you guys anything about the game plan.
Okay, sorry, Jordan, but we gotta have something to talk about. Like, how WIP's Joe Giglio believes the Eagles are still living under Andy Reid's shadow.
They lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. They lost to Andy Reid. They lost a game I thought they were the better team in, and they gave it away in the second half and couldn't stop the Chiefs, couldn't get off the field. So it means more from that perspective, but it also means more from this perspective. I believe the Eagles still live in Andy Reid's shadow. Hugh, I really believe that. Look,
I can see that.
They're a really good franchise. We know what they have been, and they've been very successful since he left. But Andy's been more successful since he left.
Yes.
And the one Super Bowl the Eagles have, it came with Doug Peterson, who basically Andy told him to hire anyway. Like, the Eagles on their own, Howie and Jeff on their own, haven't surpassed Andy. They've never beaten Andy head-to-head, which is just ridiculous. It's been a decade now. This feels like the game that could put them over.
Look, I don't know that I'm buying that. I mean, you guys know I love Big Red, and kudos to him for all the success he's had, but I don't think we're still living under a shadow. What do you guys think, though? I mean, I get that Andy Reid's won the big one. We don't need to talk about that. But Sirianni has the most wins of any head coach for the franchise in his first 3 seasons, so that's got to mean for something. However, it's worth mentioning that Fletcher Cox was asked the question, and is it personal with Andy Reid? Yet, like most of the vets in Jason Kelce and Brandon Graham, he's got a lot of respect for his former coach. With the game not being personal, but he'd like to get one on Big Red.
I do know that stat. That is a known fact. He has 4-0 against us since he left here, and we'll see. On Monday night, we know they're gonna bring their best foot forward. We're gonna have ours ready to go. It's 2 really good ball teams playing and competing, to better their record.
I can't wait for the matchup. And a reminder, as always, we'll be live streaming the Monday night matchup with play-by-play, reactions, and highlights, so would love to have you guys swing by for the game. Or if you want to win Eagles tickets to a different game, right now when you sign up for any level of membership from now until the end of November, you'll automatically be entered into a drawing for 2 tickets to any remaining regular season game on the schedule. And is there really a better time than holiday season football? I mean, Fletch doesn't think so, with a special message for the younger guys on the team.
My message to the guys is, that's when they remember you, November, December. We won a lot of games when it was hot outside, and now it comes down to execution. Execution and, wanting to play in the cold and, do good things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big game, and we know our odds of being the favorites and getting the 1 seed, but this is a huge game for the rankings. And speaking of the rankings, it's time for the Week 11 bets, as we've done pretty well as of late. But this week, I'm going to take Carolina at home plus 10.5 versus Dallas, and I'll also go with Buffalo and their backs against the wall, laying 7 against the Jets. Finally, give me the Birds plus 2.5 for Monday night primetime action. What do y'all think? Agree, disagree, or are there any better bets out there? And by the way, if you haven't tried out BetMGM yet, you're guaranteed to win your first bet up to $1,500 when you sign up via my link in the description. Even if your entry doesn't hit, BetMGM will pay you back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. But all right, let's hear those score predictions for Monday night. I'm going to go with Eagles 24-21. This has been the Philly Special.